So I want to talk about what is happening basically in New Orleans, partially. In fact, it kind of has something to do with also this video where I talk about also Memorial Day. By the way, for anyone who happens to be a veteran, I thank you for your service. Thank you so much for your service. In fact, the origins of Memorial Days date back from the Civil War because as everyone knows, it was the bloodiest war in American history. In fact, I think around 600,000 people died, and I don't recall I forgot what YouTube video I saw this from, but that would be the equivalent of if it were to happen in 2017, at least 3 million lives. Yeah, 3 million. I think this was from Mundane Desk. I think that's what his channel was called, but I can't remember. Uh, but here's why I bring up. Here's why I bring up the removal of the Confederate monuments in New Orleans. Considering that that Memorial Day is a day meant to honor veterans, I think it should be also a day to remember history. Why did we fight these wars, and why do people die in these wars? So many veterans who did not return home have fought for many reasons. While they were out there overseas, or just on the battlefields of maybe Virginia or even Mississippi. Here's why I want to point out. The Civil War wasn't started because of slavery. I mean, yeah, here's the thing. I'm not saying slavery wasn't a big deal. Obviously, it was. In fact, there was the abolitionist movement. Hell, the Republican Party, an abolitionist party, wiped the Democrats clean in the 1860 election, allowing Abraham Lincoln to become president of the United States. But what really happened, what really was what caused the Civil War, was basically economic and societal differences. On one side, you have the more liberal, more industrious North. On the other side, you have the more conservative, agrarian South. And that alone would probably raise up a lot of issues because of identity differences. Another reason why, or well, another major part of the war, of the cause of the Civil War, was because of states' rights, and also preserving the Union. But I want to tell this from the Confederate point of view. In their view, the Southerners thought that Abraham Lincoln was going to take away the rights of the states, basically by enforcing something like this. In fact, I'm sure that there were a lot of Southerners who actually opposed slavery, but still fought for the Confederacy. One good example of this would be Robert E. Lee. He was actually offered command of the Union forces, but he refused, saying that he was actually loyal to Virginia. And he didn't like the idea of slavery at all, but he still fought for the Confederacy anyway. Just saying. Now, in the sense, they have some legitimate arguments to why the Southerners did what they did in starting a rebellion against the North. They did. But the problem was that states' rights was mainly focused with slavery. Although I do agree with them if I were in that time that states' rights are states' rights. Although I still would personally fought for the Union because I wanted to free the slaves. Either you're all free or you're all slaves. That's basically how I think of it. And since this is a free country, everyone ought to be free. But anyway, here's what I like to say. The Confederate monuments, I hate the fact that they're being torn down. You have, in fact, there were 4 monuments. There was Jefferson Davis, who, if you don't know, was the Confederate president at the time of the Civil War. Robert E. Lee, who is a famous general of the Army of Northern Virginia, and P.G.T. Beauregard, who was also a well-known general and a slaveholder. And finally, just an overall memorial for Confederate Civil War soldiers. Here's what I like to say. I admit, I would understand why people would feel and decide what they did in terms of trying to remove the statues when it comes to both Jefferson Davis and P.G.T. Beauregard. But here's what I don't get. Robert E. Lee and the Confederate veterans. The Confederate veterans did not entirely fight for slavery. In fact, there was like 400,000 slaves at the time of the Civil War. In fact, it was dying. The slave trade was non-existent, and basically, Abraham Lincoln was proposing that all territories would not support slavery. That was big. I'm sure that had the Civil War not happened, it would have died naturally. But, of course, that didn't happen. But anyway, not considering that there were few slaveholders, mainly plantation owners, I'm sure there were other reasons why Confederates fought for the South as they did. Like maybe because it's their home, and because they're afraid of maybe economic consequences of this. I don't know. There are a multitude of reasons why people fight for what they believe in. But I hate the fact that they're tearing down all 4 of these statues. Like I said before, I understand in terms of Jefferson Davis and P.G.T. Beauregard, but I do not believe we should take them down at all. It's part of our history. It's part of our past. It's part of our identity. Deal with it. And if you don't like this, here's what I tell you to do. Be better than those people. Just saying. Be better than those people. It's wrong. It is very wrong in my personal opinion to remove memorials dedicating to these people. Not only is it disrespecting history itself, it's disrespecting the people who fought in this event. The very people who are from New Orleans, who fought for different reasons. Fought for states' rights, fight because they didn't want to deal with the economic consequences, fighting because their home was being invaded. Like I said before, they have a multitude of reasons, and honestly, considering that, I think that is just would be a big disrespect, not just to the fallen soldiers of the Confederate Army, but especially to our veterans today, because it kind of, in a way, I'm not saying that this is how everybody who wanted to remove the signs thinks, but in a way, it's like a message for disrespecting current veterans. Because in the protesters' view, the ones who actually support removing these, is because they're racist symbols. Especially that one single monument that they first took down, which specifically mentioned that this was in memory of all the Confederate veterans from New Orleans who fought in the Civil War. It's basically giving a stereotype to a group of people. In this case, the Confederacy. Yes, there were bad things that happened, but there were some good things that happened. There were some good people, there were some bad people. The same can be said for the unions. For the union side, there were some things that the union did was bad, but a lot of it was pretty good. There were many good people, but there were also bad people. It's just human nature. And I think that taking down these statues, even though that all four of them have been taken down already, are very big disrespect. For any of the veterans who are watching this, again, I thank you for your service. In fact, after college, I plan to maybe join the Air Force, if at all possible. My name is Noah Meehan, and this is the Arc of Truth.